Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Hey guys, and welcome to Criminality, the show where we know loving reality TV and all the stars, partial stars, D-list stars isn't a crime. Very formal there. Rebekah, how are you?
I'm so good, and I'm so happy to be recording with you. It's a little less frequent, so it feels even more fun and special than it usually does.
I absolutely agree with you. I've missed doing these more often. Obviously, we have life and we're figuring this all out, but we're thankful you guys are sticking around for it. And Rebekah, I noticed, okay, first of all, can I just kick this off by saying TLC is bringing us the Baldwins coming up.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen the preview for that?
No, I've only seen snippets on social media, but talk about a show no one is asking for.
Honestly, I mean, less than no one. I don't even think the kids want to be on it.
But of course.
Doesn't it feel like the weirdest time to do it, though?
It feels like dated and...
Thank you.
Dated and desperate. You know, both of their PR reps know that they both have an overhaul to do and a lot to overcome. They've both had bad couple years. How could this be the solution? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know if this is kind of like, what was it, Kelsey Grammer giving Camille this
the housewives
new, this new life before he leaves. Yeah. The man has 1,000 children. He's never going to get away from her, and maybe this is out.
Yeah, right. Setting her up with a world of her own. I guess it does mean we can cover the nope, it was a murder.
Ooh, no, we're not going to cover that.
But I was like, well,
yeah, maybe we'll stay away from that one.
Yeah,
but
probably.
Yes, that's anyway. So I just couldn't believe that was going on in the world of TLC.
So let's stay in TLC, which is not something I always say.
In fact, Rebekah, let's get into TLC. And here's something: we aren't necessarily doing. Well, it's a new episode for sure, but we're revisiting an old episode. So back in 2021, when we covered this, which, by the way, isn't our anniversary this week or something for 4 years?
4 years. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we started in February of 2021.
Wow. Okay.
4 years sounds unbelievable.
Congratulations.
To you as well.
Yeah, this has been something really real for both of us. I don't know what that means, but I'm very happy. I love doing this with you.
Me
Point
too.
Being 2021, you didn't know anything about the Browns.
That's so true. Wow. It's also my 4th anniversary of knowing about Cody Brown and co.
Yeah. So this is very important. This is important work. But we're going to go back. We're going to talk a little about the Brown family and how they got to where they are and now where they are. They're in it's a whole new world since you've started watching.
Yeah, how quickly the tide has changed. Or I guess it really took quite a while for many, many, many seasons.
It's taken quite a few watch hours. In fact, at this point in Sister Wives history, it has been over 225 hours of Sister Wives.
And you've seen them multiple times.
Some of them, yes.
So just think about that.
Okay, well, in that very kind thing to say to your co-host of 4 years, in that amount of time, I could have watched 20-hour TV shows. You could have even binged 11 whole series, like Parks and Rec or The Office.
Right.
11 times.
Right.
I could have also, let me put this back on me. I could have also learned a new language like Spanish. And
could you imagine?
I could have been completely conversational at this point.
We could have a bilingual podcast. We could be charting in España and Mexico.
I think randomly we are sometimes, which I'm always like, how did that happen? But, Rebekah, as they say in Espanol, la lectura es temporal, las hermanas esposas son para siempre. And that means, I didn't even bring up the other thing I meant, which was reading is temporary, sister wives is forever. Apparently, I could have read books as well. Dang it.
That took me so long to translate in my head, and I still didn't get reading.
Well, because did you hear any of the words I didn't even tell my daughter because she would have absolutely... She loves Spanish, and she would have just...
Not when you speak it.
Okay.
Sorry.
We're both on fire tonight.
Yeah,
so,
we are on one.
So if you haven't watched all 225 plus hours of The Brown Family, let's do a quick overview. Rebekah, this was new to you a few years ago. You ended up watching some with your daughter.
Yeah.
Now that we're looking a few years later, what are your thoughts on The Brown Family?
Well, the family. Well, from where I sit now, when I have tuned in on the new season, and I am several episodes behind,
sure,
but it just blows my mind that there is not but one true believer in plural marriage at this point.
Oh yeah, not even Cody.
Not even Cody. I mean, there's like it's the last man standing, and his name is Robin. It's like
true.
I never will not feel bad for her. I'm sorry. I know she's done it to herself. She is miserable, and she has put out misery, and misery has come back to her. It's her fault. But I feel bad that like what she signed up for does not exist anymore, because she's now stuck just with Cody.
Yeah.
And imagine enduring that because you thought you were getting something else, but then all the other door prizes got taken away and you just have like the one remaining.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, but I also don't think it was ever what she even thought it was. So let's get into what it was.
Well, that's where my knowledge and yours show themselves as like superficial versus expertise. So please enlighten me.
I would love to. So if you're not familiar with the Browns and Sister Wives, first of all, you're not on TikTok because that's everywhere. I'm always sending people TikToks, especially Rebekah, of Sister Wives. But the first person you have to know about when you think of Sister Wives is Cody Wynn Brown. He is the patriarch of this family. He marries his first wife, Mary, in 1990, and a few years later, he marries his second wife, Janelle.
Right.
Janelle gets pregnant with her first child. Christine joins the family. Later, Robin joins us when the family goes public and the first season finale ends and yay, Robin's here. No one said. And so for a long time, Mary's the only legal wife. So obviously this show is a show about polygamy. So you have Cody, he's married these 4 women. Only one can be the legal wife. # legal wife. And it's Mary. She's the first one, right? When you watched this through or, watched episodes, did you had a different perspective? Because we saw Cody as like this dork for years. And then he becomes like the dark, terrible, horrible person. Yeah. But when I see old clips now, I'm like, oh, it was there. It just wasn't, out there.
It was like lying in wait. Like there were just glimpses. It was like he was like a wind up. And it was just like he hadn't fully been like the dial had not been all the way cranked.
Right. So, yeah. So I've seen like there's one clip, and I may have sent this one to you, where Christine's talking about wanting to take a trip or something. And he's like, well, he looks at her very condescending, has his arm around her, like puts his arm around her for this conversation to say, if you'd save your grocery money, then you could take a vacation.
Which, like, that means then no one eats? Like,
Right,
what?
right. Like, obviously everybody at your house is eating too much. She has 6 of his kids, so it's just so... But I didn't notice it at the time, right? I thought it was, like, terrible, but I was just like,
right.
That's Cody
No,
being
but the
Cody
controlling kind of nature of that, and the financial part, which just becomes so, like, messy and just evolves into such a nightmare. Like, the writing was on the wall.
It really was. And the financial part is becoming more and more obvious and coming out more. And, like, I don't know how any of them are going to skate through this.
But what's crazy to me is that Mary was the first and only legal wife. And I feel like she's absolutely, I mean, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel like her financial situation is, I don't know if it's the worst because maybe she's had like decent investments, but I feel like she's getting screwed and like continually got screwed. And somehow like she should maybe be the most protected, even though it probably should be equal among them because that was the arrangement. But somehow she's less than equal.
Absolutely. As you learn about the Browns and as we've gone through several seasons, you find out Mary is legal wife. But when they bring in Robin has 3 other children, right? She's come out of a divorce. She claims that there's been allegations of abuse, and she wants Cody to adopt the kids, and Cody wants to adopt the kids.
Yes.
This is all like stuff they said for years. Well, without going to an attorney, without asking anyone, they decide for Cody to adopt these children, her children. He needs to divorce Mary and marry Robin, which I can see, right?
Yeah.
I can see how you would think like, okay, well, that would make the most sense because otherwise polygamy is still looked at as a crime.
Yeah.
That could be an issue. But why would you not go to an attorney first and say, if I divorce my first wife and remarry or marry the second one or the fourth one, can I adopt these kids? Why wouldn't you ask?
It seems logical to me.
Yeah, and I don't feel very logical in general, but it feels like you'd want to check that box.
Yeah, and they didn't have ChatGPT, so I understand it really did require picking up a phone and not just, asking ChatGPT, is this legal?
Yeah, I know. Truly, the things I put in there.
But still, like, they were so cognizant of legal repercussions to their lifestyle that you would think they'd err on the side of caution.
Absolutely. And what you're saying about the legality of their lifestyle, that is a big center point of this entire show, is polygamy. Is polygamy being legalized, which I realize now sounds like marijuana when you say it that way. But is it or is it not? And polygamy is obviously one man. I don't even think it's called that with women, if I remember correctly. One man being married to multiple women, right?
Right. Yes.
And so legally, all the women besides Mary originally have what's called a spiritual union. Mm-hmm. Rebekah, do you know what Robin says can get you out of a spiritual union? Like the only way you're actually divorced if you're leaving a spiritual union?
No.
To bang someone else.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, she said it a little different than that. Probably not so nonchalant. But she says, unless you sleep with somebody else, you're still technically married to this person. So,
okay.
Congratulations to Robin's definition. Yes?
Yeah. And to many, many people who are in spiritual unions, unbeknownst to them.
People are spiritual unioning all over the place.
All over the place.
So a big issue with the Brown family, as we first learn about them, is this issue of polygamy. Is polygamy being penalized and the family wanting to stay together? So when we talked about this originally, we learned about, Joseph Smith and Mormonism and how the idea of like Pokemoning a bunch of women and having them all in your life is for the afterlife to be sealed. I remember hearing something about a planet. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
but
and the more wives and children, I think the more celestial
better. The shinier
afterlife.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So basically, that's where Cody comes into learning about polygamy. He did not grow up in polygamy, but if you listen to the show, it sounds like, this guy's must have been born into polygamy. Absolutely not. His parents joined became polygamist when he was away on a mission. He comes back home and they're like, by the way, your dad wants someone else. We're going to add
Meet
somebody
Joan.
else.
Yeah.
Meet your future mother-in-law, which ends up happening when this, I'm all over the place, remember?
I forgot. But yes. Who's
I'm all over the place. Janelle.
Yeah.
Her mom says, you cannot become a polygamist. That will mean that your sister-in-law, by the way, Janelle was previously married to Mary's brother. That will mean your ex-sister-in-law will be your sister wife, and your husband will be your stepbrother because, by the way, I'm marrying his father. I've never said a more confusing sentence.
I need a visual
script.
That's like whiteboard required.
Oh, this is the Brown family. Straight up. Yeah. There's no branches. Yeah. We are just going up, down, and that's it. There's nowhere to go but literally down.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but Cody meets Mary at church back in the day. They decide they want to be polygamist. He loves Mary. He's in love with Mary. Cody in 2025 says, I never loved her.
Never met her. Loved her. Never met her.
Never loved her.
It's so hurtful. It is so gaslighty. Like, we use that too much. We being the collective we. He gaslit that woman into thinking, I mean, he truly is like, nope, that wasn't real.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with you? You knew that this was just a thing we were doing because you would become polygamous. Like, there was no, if you start with Mary, the first one, it makes no sense to say you never were in love with her. It just, it's not true.
Yeah.
And maybe love looks different to him now because Robin the Goblin is around and that looks different to him. But at the time he did. So he's married to Mary. Now he claims that he never loved her. Marries Janelle, again, Mary's former sister-in-law / his current stepsister. And then when Mary and Janelle have problems with each other, he marries Christine. So does Cody in 2025 say he loves either Janelle or Christine, or that he ever did?
I thought he said he did love Janelle. No, he says he never loved any of them.
Okay, so I don't want to say that he never said he was never in love with Janelle.
In love.
And Janelle only wanted him for his abs.
But I was just going to say, don't they have a weird storyline where it seemed like they were like the most like
sexual?
Spiritually unioned? Like frequently? I felt like there was that, or maybe it was just from Janelle towards him, but like I always got the vibe that like, didn't he say stuff like that? Like we had a very big chemistry and like physical attraction.
There is stuff like that, but she was the quietest, I feel like, about all of that. So it makes you even believe more like they're really into each other.
Yeah. Did I just fantasize this? Because gross. Why did I think this? Maybe he talks about it. Okay.
Did you see a clip of Cody in his underoos getting blurred out? Because that'll do it to you every time. But I have whatever the opposite of that is, which is disgust and...
Dissociated.
Yeah, dissociated and disgusted. That's the other ones. The whole idea of this episode is really to go back through kind of where they came from and where are they now. Because some people fell off, some people are new. And just to think of Cody's lies now. Because they're unreal. It's unreal to listen to somebody say these things about the mother of its kids, but to literally, we all knew the nacho story. You remember the nacho story with Christine, where he said he married her, saw her eat nachos, was like, I'm not into this. That's the only time he really told the truth, but he said he loved her. He just wasn't initially attracted to her.
Yeah.
If you put that in writing about me, I would burn you to the ground. I would burn your family to the ground. It just wouldn't stop.
Show me one person you are attracted to eating nachos. Like, who eats nachos attractively?
I've told you my nacho story.
There's examples. Wait, yes, but I can't remember. Was it a contest? Does it call it? No, it was.
Okay, rude. It wasn't a contest. No, it was very normal. I was working the concession stand at my high school and I was eating nachos and I turned around 10 chips in, 50 chips in, the entire thing in, and the money was gone. And I looked over and the adults were all laughing because they had stolen it from me because I was so into my nachos.
That's why I thought it was a contest because your focus was there. You were concentrated.
I've never been into something more in my life.
Oh,
okay.
Melissa.
So basically, the thing with Sister Wives, if you haven't watched it, is it's following this family around as they bring in new members and they navigate life trying to escape the laws of polygamy and fighting the man, and everyone should be able to be with who they want to be with, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, essentially they're on the run. One of the seasons, like moving states to kind of...
Oh, when they leave Lehigh?
Find a safer lifestyle, home.
By the way, Rebekah, we now learn that it really wasn't so much of an imminent thing. And these are the things that make me so angry.
Yeah.
Like, to have watched 225 hours of this show and to feel duped now? Now I feel duped.
But they did it to themselves. Why? They had so many kids to pack up and move, and those moving scenes were stressful as anything. So, why did they exaggerate the repercussions that weren't really being enforced?
I agree with what you're saying. I don't know. But what I do know is when Cody Wynn Brown feels like he's either losing control or he wants to assert his dominance, really.
Yes.
We're moving.
Yeah. And it's a diversion from probably his shortcomings and what was going wrong there. That was his fault and not actually them being in trouble.
Right.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Well, at one point there, the family, as Rebekah was saying, they were all living in Lehigh, Utah. They flee to Vegas because they're afraid of the polygamy laws in Utah that they're going to be arrested. Well, they're not. They never were, and really were never in any real dangerous trouble of that even happening. But when they're in Las Vegas, they move into a cul-de-sac. That should be a perfect situation for this family, right? Everybody's got brand new homes.
Yeah.
In a cul-de-sac, everyone's together. Yet some of them say it was the worst time in their lives.
Right.
Specifically Christine. Because Christine says during that time, Cody was never at her house. And how hard is it to do the math on where he's at?
Well, exactly. I mean, out of sight, out of mind, if you had to kind of go a couple miles and but when you're just watching him go door to door,
you're
process
watching
of elimination.
Frolic door to door. Do you remember those clips of him running over the rocks, hair just blowing backwards?
Bouncing and boinging.
Oh,
sorry. I made the curl
else.
sound and ew. I regretted it.
I regret everything.
Factor is back, and Melissa and I love when Factor sponsors the show because we both already subscribe to and love Factor meals. So if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat in just 2 minutes. So you can fuel yourself, feel great no matter what the day or life throws at you. Now, this was interesting. Based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, people are losing up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with the Factor Keto meal plan. Of course, this varies based on diet and exercise. There's over 40 meal options and 8 dietary preferences on the menu, so it's easy to choose meals based on your own goals. I choose Calorie Smart, and while they're only 400 to 600 calories, I feel full after every single one, so they're working great for me. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/criminality50 off. Use code criminality50 off to get 50% off your box plus free shipping. That's code criminality50 off at factormeals.com/criminality50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Criminality is sponsored by BetterHelp. We talk a lot about red flags here on the show, and recognizing them is really important. But what about green flags? I'm in a transitional period in my life, and I've been thinking about how to identify green flags, actively practice them in my own relationships, and basically embody green flag energy myself. So whether you're dating, married, pursuing friendships, or just working on yourself, therapy is a great place to learn how to form relationships that love you back. And BetterHelp can help you do that. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. You can easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Visit BetterHelp.com/criminality today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/criminality.
So, basically, we're where you caught up to. Things aren't great. They're moving to Flagstaff. We can't really tell why.
There's just lots of property.
There's Coyote Pass, Angel Singing, but Cody says they need to sell their Vegas properties. They will never be able to get the money they want out of it if they don't sell it now.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised to learn that they all lost money in this thing that was supposed to gain them money. New theories around that I heard.
Oh.
Would you like to hear this?
Please share with the group.
Okay. First one is Robin and her children they're close in a way that I don't know that's healthy with your kids. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. You have older kids than I do. Mm-hmm. Your goal as a mom, my goal as a mom, is to raise them so they can become independent adults, live on their own, and live their own lives, right?
Get the F out, yes.
That is actually
the end game.
That's the end game. Robin is raising them to still depend on her and worry about what she thinks and worry about what she does. And it just seems like their anxiety it's
codependent.
That is the exact word. It's very codependent.
Yeah. So
what they don't tell us, but what we find out later, is that Robin's son, Dayton, who I love Dayton, we don't know if it was ever diagnosed, but she said that he had Asperger's, which now is like part of the autism spectrum. Mm-hmm. And he got accepted into school at Flagstaff. So all we know is, of all places, why Flagstaff?
Oh, so that was a driving factor.
It's an expensive place, like it really is, because I've definitely looked at stuff there just like out of curiosity. It's not cheap and it's really pretty, but like nobody else lived there. So why that?
Little random.
Here's an extra sneak peek of things that I didn't know before. Not sneak peek.
Look at you.
Here's an extra thing. We now found out this season on the show that Robin's stepdad, which is like who she really considers her dad, they lived in Vegas. So could it be that they moved from Utah to Vegas because they didn't know anybody there?
Right. Wow.
To Flagstaff. All those places were connected with her.
Well, if your theories are correct, and I have no reason to doubt you, then all the animosity from the other wives about Robin and the kids makes even more sense above and beyond just like the obvious like cringe factor of Robin. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, she was like the puppet master of Cody. Like she was the first and only wife that could like get him to do anything.
She was the Cody whisperer. She would say that. Everyone said that. And like Janelle has since said like, I can talk to him just fine. Like I don't need somebody. But that's how somehow she set herself up to be, and he believed her. And I don't know. I guess if you give into somebody's delusions that much. So when you came on board, it was probably because, correct me if I'm wrong, this is when we find out that Christine Brown has left the family, right? And that's when the world went crazy and became sister wives' heads. No offense. Some of us have been here. How do you say decade in Spanish? Some of us have been here for a while. Yeah, but that's okay. Glad you're here. So I would love to give you updates since our last episode of where everyone is, if you'd like to learn.
Of course. I mean, I know the one big headline, so I want to hear everything else.
I'd like you to kick off that first headline because I'm sure it has to do with Christine. What is it?
Yeah, well, she met a guy named David, super obsessed, quickly dated, engaged, and married, and really stepped into role of bride. Really leapt into it and soaked it up. Yeah, absolutely. She became a little insufferable, not going to lie.
Completely insufferable. I will say, and I think the fandom would agree, that I was a little nervous about David. So Christine leaves Cody in 2021. They've been married at that point for like 25 years. Yeah. She's very vocal about this decision. And Christine basically says, I'm tired of being neglected. He has a favorite wife. He basically gave her a list of things to have an intimate spiritual union with him that she would have to do in order to have that sort of a relationship with him. And she was like, pass.
That's a deal breaker.
Deal breaker for Christine, for sure. So she was just like, no, this is absolutely not worth it at all. So during COVID, this was a huge part of the show. Cody has this list of rules, right? And COVID was it's such a weird time, right? We're 5 years out now, but like,
I know.
Especially when you think back to the very beginning of it, like all the uncertainty and there was so much fear and all of that stuff. But like, we learned pretty early on that kids weren't as affected. Like we did learn little things as we went on. That's just how these kind of viruses go. So with that knowledge, you make adjustments, you do different things. Not Cody. At this point, COVID happening really kind of like was his out, I feel like. Is that how you felt?
Yeah. Yeah. It was the perfect excuse to create a boundary that nobody could argue with.
At all.
Well, and we're talking about related family members. Like this wasn't about large parties with community and friends. We're talking about seeing his own biological children.
Yes. And he was setting up rules that for each house, and Christine and Janelle's kids were just a little bit older. Some of them worked. They had all these things. So they were still
go to
they had to come home. But Cody's thought was they can't live here.
Right.
And whatever you think about that, we don't have to get into the whole COVID thing, but it obviously made some real issues when he can stay with Robin and her children because they're following his rules that he doesn't give anybody until like 3 years in. And it goes so far as he can't travel to see Isabel, his daughter with severe scoliosis, watch her have surgery, go visit her, do anything while she has this major surgery in New Jersey.
He just opts out of like a very developmentally significant turning point in her life.
I mean, I don't know how you recover like emotionally from that, like from your dad being like,
it's not I'm not going to prioritize that.
Right. And I wouldn't say this if he was just like 100% doing everything right, being supportive, doing all these other things. He actually went and performed a wedding during this time, but because he's the star of the show,
unbelievable,
dancing, no mask, nothing. He's just living his life in the middle of all these people. And meanwhile, he literally asks his daughter, "Do you think you could go to have your surgery alone in another state across the country?"
It's unheard of. It's wild.
It really is. So
unforgivable.
Absolutely. That was kind of it for her. And you absolutely understand how that can be it when you think if you can't even prioritize this huge thing in your child's life, like, what good are you to me?
Yeah.
So Christine is able to leave and she sells her house. They have this big lot of property we talked a little about, Coyote Pass. She said, instead of giving me what is owed out of this property that, by the way, wasn't paid off at this time, let me keep the proceeds for my house. She does. She moves on. She meets David Woolley, who, like I was saying, everyone was kind of nervous about because it was so fast. So then it's like, is he kind of like a creep or is he just wanting to be on TV? He actually just seems like a really nice person. And
and he has a boat ton of kids too.
He does. I think he has 8 kids. His wife died several years before, and he just seems like just somebody,
a lot of love to give. Yeah.
Like loves Janelle too, like wants her to be part of their lives. Like, I don't know. It's like best case scenario, I feel.
From what I see and from my more shallow viewership, that's the vibe I get.
I appreciate the way you said that because that put the negative on you and not on me.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. I'm trying to write the record.
Well, thank you. So when Christine left, the obvious question is, who's next? Is there going to be a next, right?
Yeah. Is this going to be a game of dominoes?
Yes. And the obvious answer would be Mary. He's not lived with Mary for decades, maybe. I mean, really, it's been years and years. When they moved to Flagstaff, he never even stayed at Mary's house. So, but she's being manipulated, which she now says, by Robin to stay in the family.
And they're close.
Well,
or
yes,
got
but
closer,
not really.
but kind of like bullied into being close. And also Janelle and Christine had gotten very close, even though historically they weren't. So,
right?
Yes. Which kind of does affect the pecking order of the downfall.
Absolutely. So Christine and Janelle do get close after the divorce, where Janelle is really just, supporting Christine, because this is obviously awful. Cody doesn't make it any easier. And then he looks at it as a betrayal, which also then she's like, not really, and that's not how it should be. But Mary and Robin, Mary now says, people have been telling me that Robin was manipulating me. And if you think about it, during the COVID rules, Mary's the only one that was always following all the rules, all of them. She was like literally not seeing anyone. And she loved Robin's kids. And they wouldn't let her see the kids because Robin said, well, it's not fair to other people because they can't, because they're not following the rules. So all these things of like, please stay around. I want you in the family, Mary. Please don't leave Cody. He could fall back in love with you. But then she would like ghost her. Literally, she says that now. She would ghost her.
I really never thought about this.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so explicit the way you're saying it. It does sound incredibly like conscious on Robin's part.
I mean, what other reason is there? But like, I need you for me, but I don't actually want to invest in you or have you be a part of my life. So,
wow,
it's the most obnoxious thing. So, as far as back to Janelle, as far as Janelle goes, she decides to leave Cody in like 2022, I think. And really, that was tipped off by her kids. Her thing, if you remember, she was like, he's a great dad. She was never like, he's the most amazing husband. She's like, he's a great dad. She didn't have her dad as a part of her life. So it was like the most important thing to her. Well, then he stopped being, for her kids, tried to get Garrison to move out. And anyway, that was like a whole thing. And she was just like a mom and was like, absolutely not. You're not doing that to my kids.
I'm not choosing you over them, because it really kind of was going to become that because Cody had made the choice. Yeah,
absolutely. So here's a fun thing, a little update. So Janelle has now, with her daughter Maddie, they've bought property in North Carolina.
Ooh.
They're actually, it's a good and a bad. They bought like 100+ acres to start like a flower farm. And I think eventually it'll be like a place to have weddings, that kind of a thing.
Well, like a venue and destination thing. Was it originally North Carolina because that's where she was going to college?
For Maddie, Isabel went to college.
Isabel did.
To live,
Oh,
you're remembering.
Yeah, I'm like, someone was there first.
Yeah, okay, someone was. So she's there with her family. Maddie's there with her family. Cody, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with Maddie. She was like, you're not in my kid's life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're, whatever. So they've bought this farm and they're calling it Tata Farms, which I actually don't know why. It doesn't, maybe it has to do with the kids' names. I don't know. But the big thing now is like they might not have checked the property to see if you could actually make it agricultural. Yeah. So there's like issues.
And it's not an acre, it's hundreds, you said.
Over 100. It's like 160 or something. So that's a bummer. But Janelle has started selling T-shirts, and it's Janelle Says is the company name. And she had a shirt that says, I choose the kids and the dogs. So when you said that, it reminded me,
I could see a lot of people wanting that shirt.
And they are buying them like hotcakes. They're constantly going out of stock.
Wow.
My favorite part of that lore is back with, you remember Sister Wives Closet? My Sister Wives Closet? Of course.
Yeah.
Janelle thought, well, beyond jewelry that's ugly, maybe we could do like some shirts and stuff. And Cody and Robin didn't want to do that because that would like not
cheapen the brand.
Work exactly those words. And now Janelle is making a killing off of these shirts, and I could not love
this for her.
It's so good.
I'm looking at them now.
Yeah, they're very, there's nothing like life-changing. They're very Janelle. They're very Janelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as Janelle and her piece of Coyote Pass, we don't know exactly what's going to happen there. She and Mary, we find out, are finally going to be speaking to a lawyer together because they're getting root out of this.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Cody has his name on all the parcels of land.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So there's the one poor piece of land Mary has Cody, Robin, and Mary on it. Like what
awkward.
I know, but like it's just absolutely so messed up, this
like
family
no rhyme
and
or
money.
Reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Mary is the last wife to have left. And it was a weird, like, I guess this is done kind of thing.
Yeah, and they had these awkward scenes. I saw those where he's helping her move out of this space. That was
actually
not
sexual,
the weird house,
which was weird.
That got so weird so fast.
It did, and just so uncomfortable. But the breakup scene that he and Mary have, Robin's there and has to walk away because this is
too
so
painful
hard
for her. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I ever even try.
You know what? I appreciate that you give her grace. Because I sure as heck am not. And neither is Twitter.
I think she has like major depression. And I know that's not ours to say, but like I see it and hear it in her body and her voice.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree. There's more going on, but you just want to say, then shut up about some of this stuff and
help yourself so you can help others. Because it's you're inflicting this on other people at this point. Like when you go, anyway.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
No, it's not helpful or healthy.
No. So Mary, as I was saying, she's the last one to leave Cody. So now Cody has no wives. He also claims to have never, or he has Robin. Ugh. But he claims now to have never loved really any of them. Just said, my biggest mistake was marrying these women or not loving these kids' mothers and just being so bitter and angry. Yeah. Literally, Rebekah, as recently as last week, he was like, when I found out Christine got married, I was like, good for her. That was not the case.
Well, I'm like, yeah, I know, easy to say now, but
it changes every time you see him. You're like, it's such, again, gaslighting, but such revisionist history to have changed
totally
everything. And it negates the good times.
History, I know.
Yeah, it's so gross.
And it's okay to grow and evolve and change your point of view on something, even as something is, but I think he's so emotionally immature that he can't even appropriately express why he feels differently about plural marriage now than he did at age 20, whatever, when he built this whole life. It's such a disrespect to his kids and legacy. And it's like, change your mind about it, but be a man about how you do that. And it's crazy to me that all three women wouldn't, say they're fans of this arrangement anymore. And Robin is, as we started the conversation by saying, the lone voice advocating for that life.
But I wonder how much it's that and how much it's, first of all, her being sick of that man being at her house all the time.
Well, that's why she would have to want it. I mean, that has to be the only reason.
Yeah, he was never meant to be a full-time husband.
No.
Part-time husband.
Who could handle it?
Ugh, it's too much. So Mary, as we mentioned, gone. She's at the bed and breakfast. She has something called Worthy Up, which nobody understands what that company is, including her. It's like a course, but it's not a course.
Oh,
you get
gosh.
a workbook, but you don't. Our friend Amy Archer with Little Miss Recap joined it, but I don't think anything happened. I don't
sounds
think
like it's going to be. It could be a future episode, but we'll never do that to Mary if it really goes under and proves to be a scam.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that it's a scam so much as just don't know what we're doing and sign up and then whoops. Were you guys going to do something here?
I mean, potato, scam, scum. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So real quick, Robin, she and Cody, as we mentioned, are still together. They're trying the storyline of her oldest daughter, Aurora, joining a church and asking Cody to baptize her, which makes no sense if she's in this new church. Why would they let her? Why would they let him?
Yeah.
But they did sell their house and they moved into a larger home, a $2.1 million home, 7,800 square feet.
Why?
6 bedrooms. Don't you think that as your kids get older, the idea is to downsize?
Yes. That is so crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lick of sense. But that really is, I think, goes to show like how codependent she and her kids are. Like and I think that's what Cody needs. He needs people to need him. So as his kids grew up and got older, they didn't need him, and therefore he doesn't need them.
Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. You may have heard some financial advisors say, be bullish about investing, but I say be squirrelish. Let me explain. Squirrels spend a huge part of their lives stashing away their acorns. They have so many acorns, sometimes they have zero idea where most of them are. Now, I don't recommend losing track of your acorns or your assets, if you will. That's not the best financial strategy, but this next part is what I think is cool. Those acorns that the squirrel totally forgot about, some of them grow into oak trees, and those oak trees bear more acorns. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's why squirrels are living proof that anyone can be an investor, and that's why I love using acorns, because it is a not intimidating way to start saving and investing in my future. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you and your money goals. And now this is exactly why I started. You don't need to be rich. Acorn lets you get started with the spare money you've got right now, even if all you've got is spare change. That's what I do. I've connected my debit cards so that every purchase I make rounds up to the next dollar, and that amount is invested for me. So when I open my app, take a peek at my investment, I see all these little acorns piling up into a growing oak tree. You can sign up and join over 13 million all-time customers who have already saved and invested over $22 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/criminality or download the Acorns app to get started. Paid client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/criminality.
Oh, so terrible. So we're still watching it unfold. And the interesting thing, and the last thing I kind of wanted to get into, is they're dividing this season up. It's already been longer than it normally is. And basically an A and a B season, right? So we're breaking now.
Okay.
We'll have 8. The bald ones that I mentioned before, that's kind of where they came from. They're going to take that spot for however many episodes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Pray to God it's like 3. But 6, 8 episodes is what I assume for like a new one of those shows. And then season B will come back, the second part of it. The thing with Sister Wives, they've always been like 2 years behind, right?
Yes.
They're catching up. And I think a lot of the reason is last March, Janelle and Cody's son, Garrison, died by suicide. And so they haven't addressed it. So I think we haven't seen him in any clips, by the way, this year.
Right.
So I think that's kind of how they're bringing us back up to a more current day, but giving us this like behind the property and Mary leaving and lighter stuff to then kind of go into like how this changes, which I appreciate them if they're going to show this, which obviously I think Janelle had to be okay with it. But if they're going to do this, and it can be an educational thing, it can be something that helps people like Mary on Salt Lake City sharing about her son and stuff.
Right.
But having it divided up, I think, was actually a very, very good
I
idea.
agree. It needs its own space to kind of live on its own. Do you think it will be like a final finale type of wrap up, or do you think they're just going to keep going and going?
They're going to keep going because there's still like Cody and Christine are like in deliberations, or there's something with Truly's custody and stuff. So like,
because they're in different states,
that could be something.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then like as of right now, the property has been paid for, but it hasn't been sold. So we don't know what's going to happen. So everyone thinks the other one's screwing them out of money from the property, So I think there's still more to be had. Do I want to see a whole season of Christine and David? No.
Right.
But do I want to see Christine asking Janelle, what's the tea? Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, any glimpse of Truly is a good Sunday for me.
I love it. Those transition lenses, they just make me smile. So anyway, that's kind of where we are with the show. And I think it's going to, you buy a $2 million house when you're just...
I was just going to say, and it sounds certainly like Robin and Cody have landed on their feet financially a little more solidly than anyone else. And not surprisingly, the only ones acting most like a two-person couple. So, of course, like financially, that's like been rewarded because it's easier.
Yeah.
And legal, right? They're most recently the legally bound ones. So crazy.
I know. The thing that's upsetting, last point I'll make on Sister Wives, because this ended up being just a TED Talk, to be quite honest.
I'm here for
which
it.
I've been waiting for my entire life.
You could teach the course.
I know. Is I don't understand why after Cody was able to adopt Robin's kids, so they could not legally be taken away, that was like always a big conversation.
Yeah.
Why Cody didn't divorce Robin, marry Christine so Christine could get insurance, whatever, because there was an issue with insurance. They never had insurance. Something like that to financially benefit her. Like, why not every 5 years kick someone off?
Yeah.
Add
give
someone else the benefits.
The benefits of, that's interesting.
But I just think, that says everything you need to know about him. Yeah. And just for now be like, I don't know why I did this. This is terrible. You have 18 kids. Like,
and I know TLC's not crying about it because they're like 20 years into the show, like crying to the bank. But it must be like, wow, from the beginning to now, like, look at the arc of this story. Like, who could have thunk it? They were all like so bought in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And but that's where I feel like the Baldwin thing, that's where it's going to be going, because Kelsey Grammer / Alec Baldwin is giving this person star power to have this show to kind of like let it blow up and get out of there. That's
Do you
my
think
belief.
They're assuming the Sister Wives audience is built in and ready for this Hilaria and Alec?
No, I don't know.
It doesn't seem like the right demographic, but
no.
What do I know?
No, I mean, like 90 Day Fiance and like Sister Wives Sunday people. Nobody wants to see the Baldwins. Like, and it won't even be like hot mess Baldwins. It's going to be whatever Hilaria wants to give us. And,
project.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a fun watch at all. So I don't know what they're doing there, but hopefully it'll burn and we can get more Sister Wives soon.
Wow. Yeah, just buying time, I guess. Truly masterclass, and you could charge for this. In fact, people should Venmo you.
Yeah.
After listening
if you could
to
just
this.
listen to our ads, that would be all the payment I need.
Yeah, exactly.
We would appreciate it. So there's your weird summary that turned into a TED Talk, and I did not use my notes that I had written out. So
dang, girl, you really like
what you will. I've had a stellar day. Like 2 days, I've been on top of my game.
I know, and it shows.
I needed it.
And you know what? I needed it too, because I've been like not feeling that way. So it was just really good to like soak in your wisdom.
Girl power, man.
Yeah,
team girl power,
dream
girl.
work.
So Rebekah, I would love to know currently or not currently, what is it that you're watching? Because I always need something new.
Okay, well, I think you might enjoy this. I don't think it would be like top of your list, but I think you'll consider it when there's nothing else.
Okay. Well, that's Good Wives. Our friend Stacy has wanted me to watch Good Wives for years now. And I keep saying if I have surgery, if some disastrous thing happens, I'll watch
first
it.
on the list. There you go. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You tell me. Sometimes I get it way wrong with you. I'm not sure where you stand on this genre. Okay, we're watching this on Max.
Okay.
And then we've got Pittsburg and Doctors.
Is this the Pit, the Crunch, the something?
The Pit with Noah Wiley from ER. I'm dating myself, but do you remember ER?
Of course.
George Clooney and Noah Wiley, the like original McSteamy and McDreamy, right? Like
the original Greys.
Yeah.
Whatever. Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I really like Noah Wiley. It's actually like just okay.
Okay. Is it like ER reboot? Is that kind of what it is? Like, no, it's different?
No, I guess it is. I guess if you drop shipped ER into 2025, this is a little bit more what it would look like.
Okay.
But I thought it should or could be doing something different because it is so many years later.
Right.
I guess I'll read the blurb.
And why is it called The Pit?
So it's set in Pittsburgh, and for some reason Noah Wiley. No, but it's not clear. I mean, he calls the ER the pit, and I don't know why. It's like a waiting room, and the head of the hospital is always like, and I wish you wouldn't call it the pit. And he's like, I'm rebellious. I will anyway.
I'd rather watch The Good Wife.
I don't. The more I like think out loud, I don't think it's that good.
Okay.
But it is the only thing I'm watching.
Okay.
Other than all the reunions and current housewives, there's so much. So here we are. But a realistic examination of the challenges facing healthcare workers in America as seen through the lens of frontline heroes working in a modern-day hospital in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you why I started it.
Okay.
Because my daughter and I did, and she is a STEM major and going to PA school. And so we always like to look at medical things together.
I love it. For that reason, I support it 1,000,000%.
Okay, thank you. Redeemed.
Yeah, mostly.
How about you?
Yeah. Well, I absolutely chose not to watch The Pit because I kept seeing it on my thing and I said, please stop this. I cannot take this.
That's fair.
And I don't know why I've just never been into those like more serious medical stuff. I just too close to home, to be quite honest.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really fair.
Myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine's easy, and I may have told you this. It's very different for me, but I ended up liking it. So here we go. Netflix, Korea, dubs.
Oh, is it Squid Games?
It's Squid Games.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd like it. And
I didn't think you would either, and I didn't think I didn't watch it because I assume I wouldn't. Do you think I would?
I don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. I've told you this, right? Like how I watched it. Angel Vid, which this is not a promo for it, but I think it's actually very good. He's been wanting to watch it.
Yeah.
You can put filters on with like watching Netflix shows. Take off the language, take off like sexual stuff, take off gore.
Wow.
The problem is when you take off like major gore, you see somebody and then in this show you don't see him and you have to assume they got killed. You just
like there's like some plot holes due to the content censoring. That's so funny.
One time there's somebody running and then it just cuts
fade away.
him on the ground and I was like, I guess they got shot. I don't know.
Or a heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, one guy got thrown over a boat and I was like, maybe? I don't know what just happened. He was just gone. And so like it's kind of a choose your own adventure in that way.
Yeah.
It's actually very fun. I don't watch things typically that are dubbed. Like I have a real, my brain just...
It's hard. Mm-hmm.
It's perfect with this. I honestly wouldn't have really noticed, which maybe I should get my eyes checked. They did a very good job of matching the characters to what they would sound like. And I just thought it was like very, very well done.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Well, you and millions of people agree. I mean...
I know. I don't know why I never wanted to watch. I mean, I do know why I never wanted to watch it. But anyway, my son has never sat and watched an entire one episode of a show with me.
Wow.
Yeah. So we knocked out 2 seasons in like a week and a half, which...
That's so fun.
It's so huge. Like my kids are not... It's different now. Like kids don't really binge so much. So anyway, it was very special. And I think that's part of why I liked it. But
that makes me really happy.
Yeah. So I needed that. And it was awesome.
So we both had a kid watching. Yours was just a little better because I trailed off this and I think I will go back to it, but not urgently. Like, no pun intended.
I can't believe my Duolingo, like I haven't been forced to learn Korean. Like we're on the cusp. I've had to learn how to make certain dishes and stuff like that. But so far I haven't had to learn how to make Korean or learn Korean. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, who knows? You could be doing a TED Talk on that next.
No, it'll probably be the game that I had to buy that I can't figure out. There's just a lot of complicated things going on over here. But yeah, so anyway,
But never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
Well, that's true for the podcast too, because we kind of get to choose our own adventure here on these first Fridays.
We really do. I'm sorry, it really got weird there in the beginning.
No. Everything's great. We also are open to suggestions from listeners on what our first Fridays could look like. So tell us via Instagram DM. That's the best way to get us at Criminality Show. What would you like us to cover? Bravo recap, a show we've done an episode on, but like you want to hear more about.
Oh, that would be fun. What if we recap the first Baldwin episode?
I mean,
that's torture.
But it could be entertaining. Let's watch it.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, that could be really fun. Yeah. So let us know. We'll see you back here on the first Friday of next month.
We'll see you then.
Bye.